Men are intimidated by the presence of a strong woman.
Hard to believe she's single.
Where's my prisoner?
They came and got him.
Who's they? Better be two of me. Is it two of me?
I need you to work together.
Turn around. I need you to pass a polygraph.
That is a no-no.
I can't hold you.
Okay.
All right, let's pull him up.
No, wait. I'm not kidding. I can't lift him.
He's all right? The metal car broke his fall?
The Heat, in theaters June 28th.
Hello, I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Today I'm reviewing The Heat, starring Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy as two very different cops who are forced to work together to take down a drug lord. I'll be perfectly honest, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was completely and utterly repulsed by it. I thought it was just going to be a stupid, crass, and embarrassingly unfunny piece of dreck. However, when I saw the reviews of this movie, particularly Richard Roper's, and they were generally favorable, I decided to check it out. And as it turns out, I think this is one of the funniest buddy cop movies of recent years. It's probably up there with the likes of Hot Fuzz and the 21 Jump Street movie. I would tell you the story, but, well, it's nothing you haven't seen before in a billion other cop movies. Really, all comedies like this basically have the same plot. The two opposites must work together. First they hate each other, then they grow to like each other. They fight near the third act just to get back together in the climax, and there's a twist involving the villain somewhere. Yeah, all that's pretty much in this movie. Having said that, this movie does manage to throw a few new things into the mix that manages to elevate it. First, it's the only buddy cop movie I've ever seen that stars two women. Now there are a lot of dramas about cops starring women, but this is the only cop comedy starring women I can think of, which is a nice step forward. In addition, for the most part, the protagonist's gender are incidental. Though that struggle, the plot of this movie is not them trying to buck the system of a male-dominated profession, though that struggle is occasionally brought up in the film. Instead, we get the basic plotline of a buddy cop movie, but with two women, and I admire the writers for taking that approach. Also, the inevitable twist involving the villain is actually pretty surprising, though granted that's partly due to the fact that the character is not given much screen time. What really elevates this movie is the two leads, who managed to take pretty standard archetypes and make them really hilarious. Bullock plays a talented but uptight and arrogant cop, while McCarthy plays the raunchy, any means necessary type of cop. Yeah, the characters are pretty cliché, but the performances and some innovative writing really make them shine. For example, we often get a joke about a character like Bullock, her being alone at home with a cat. And this movie does do that. There is a scene where she's sitting at home watching TV with her cat, but they put a twist in there that is so hilarious I won't dare spoil it for you here. Also, Bullock and McCarthy managed to sell the more subtle and dramatic moments, which aids a great deal in making good characters, not caricatures, as is often the case in comedies like this. And speaking of subtlety, Marlon Wayans is in this movie and he actually manages to give a funny but subtle performance. I was just as surprised as you are, trust me. Throughout the movie, Bullock is fairly condescending towards Wayans until he politely but firmly asks not to be treated that way. I like that. It's a subtle way of bucking the token black guy cliché the character could have so easily fallen into. Also, there's no real love. He also serves as the kind of love interest for Sandra Bullock, but it's not really developed very well. In fact, it could have been cut out of the movie entirely and you wouldn't have noticed. Which is also nice. It's nice not to have a romantic subplot for once in a movie. On a side note, I've noticed more and more that McCarthy is becoming more and more typecast as a raunchy character. Even on Mike and Molly, her character is becoming more crass, and think back to early in the show and she wasn't like that before. So what happened? Bridesmaids happened. Yes, it seems like ever since then we've had more and more raunchy female comedic characters and even hit comedies with a mostly female cast. Which for a long time are pretty rare, at least outside the romantic comedy genre. And in my opinion, this is a great leap forward. Overall, if you want to see a really funny buddy cop movie, see this movie. And I hope it's successful enough that we get to see more and more comedies starring women. That aren't romantic comedies, I mean. And maybe, just maybe, women can prove they can be just as crude, lewd, and vulgar as men. Maybe one day. One day. I'm the universal critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Goodbye.